Hello.
Just to say hi. Yeah, I can join you.
Yeah, no,
So
you're very busy actually, Carlos.
a bit to hear.
Sorry. I know you're very busy.
Yeah. No, the
But
internet is terrible. So
okay.
just let you run. Just wanted to say hello. Yeah, and wish you all the best.
No problem. Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you very much, Carlos. Thank you for the opportunity as well. And it seems
Speak
we
soon.
have a great time. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Tilda. Hi. How are you doing?
Hi. Excellent. I was so worried that you may not hear me because my laptop does this sometimes, but great that we
No,
are.
I
Yeah.
do hear you. No, that's great. Thank you. Hi, Tilda. Hi, Franz. Thanks for joining.
Pleasure. I think Carlos is still somewhere else, but
So yeah, Carlos is in Brazil doing actually a specific event, face-to-face event in Brazil at the forum, and so that's why he asked me to host this expert session this
okay.
week. And I think we will probably start in 1 or 2 minutes. I don't know if Gustavo is coming, but I see the session is it's already recording, so I think we can start in 1 or 2 minutes when we'll be ready.
It's fine by me.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, I think Tilda, I think we will start.
Sounds great.
That's good.
Sure.
Yeah. Do you want Franz to just introduce yourself with one line before we start, and then as in the style of the expert session, we'll have a conversation. Of course, you can join us anytime you want.
Yeah, only one line.
Or
That's
2, 3, 4. Really as you wish.
okay. Name is Frans Bik. I live in the Netherlands. I live in a village very glued to The Hague. I call myself a sales professional. I have more than 30 years experience in business to business, international, complex sales processes, let's say. What I do is, with my company is to help companies, larger SME companies, in optimizing their sales process. That's one thing. That's more nationally focused. Internationally focused, I can act as a kind of fractional business development person for companies who want to enter the Dutch market or the European market, this kind of things. So that's what I try to do. And the main objective to have as much fun as possible.
That's a great one. Totally. Okay, I will introduce Tilda when I start the session, so I think we'll leave it that. But thank you, Franz, for joining. And because this is recorded and will be on the e-commerce commerce club, part, we will treat this as now as the starting and from the recording of now from that. So, welcome everyone. And thanks for joining. I'm Bérengère Chaintreau-Fuchs, and this is Evolved Commerce Club Expert Session number 121. Yes, we've got there. And this expert session, our place where once a week we sit down with someone doing genuinely interesting work in the world of commerce and get properly into it for an hour. There is no fluff, no selling mode. It's just a real conversation and hopefully something concrete for the Evolved global community. Today's theme is about how AI is rewriting international commerce. A recent report from McKinsey pointed out that roughly half of consumers today are now intentionally using AI-powered search to guide their purchase decision. The picture is mixed still, but the direction is clear. For younger generations like Gen Z, AI is only 3% of discovery today. They still have a lot of other ways to discover brands, but it's already 6% by the time they are evaluating a purchase. So it's really kind of this very specific moment between discovery and purchase that AI starts to have a very big place. And that means it doubles through the funnel as well, and that no other channel is growing that fast or ever has. And as our community across the world knows, this doesn't show up exactly in the same way everywhere. Each market expresses that shift in its own context, its own language, its own intent, and that is very where one size does not fit all. So that's exactly why I'm so glad to sit today with Tilda Molho and explore this discussion together. Tilda has a wonderful career. She spent her career turning commercial strategy into execution across scaling marketplaces and subscription platform. Tilda owned category P&L at eBay, pushed a lot for international commerce. I remember that very well, actually, where we kind of spot up and have some more story together about this. And also recently owned subscription platform for Sky. She recently developed also a specific research and a specific methodology to look at this stage, different stages of brand visibility. And this type of methodology keeps surfacing the same pattern. Brands with strong SEO and strong paid performance can become completely invisible the moment someone asks ChatGPT or Perplexity for recommendation. Same brand, same market position, but different system, different result. So thank you again, Tilda, for joining our expert session. And to kick us off, I wanted just to ask you, how do you read this McKinsey data point, and how does it relate to your current work on international commerce?
Thank you, Beréngere. Thank you for having me, and really excited to be part of the Evolve Forum today. First of all, it's great to see some representative data around how consumers are interacting with different channels for brand discovery and then for purchase evaluation. And I was particularly interested to see the multi-channel view and to look at different segments of customers. So there is a few data points here that are no surprise. We see a difference between different generations of consumers, and naturally younger consumers are using AI and digital channels more and increasing their usage faster. However, with that, we still need to ground ourselves that it's early days. The AI channel penetration is small but growing, which is encouraging. And we still see a blend of traditional and digital channels. The blend is becoming more balanced and more even. So I feel this is a good and balanced read of where the market is, and it points to a really great timing for me. It's the right time for brands to think about how they can leverage the new technology available in the market. And I'm particularly excited about it because I think this is a great window of opportunity for smaller brands. Why do I say that? Because I think when it comes to this new trend, it is not a matter of advertising budget. It's not a matter of big global brand. It's a matter of how well does the brand build its own system, how consistent it is, and how data-driven it is. And this is something that we saw at the early stages of marketplaces, where the name of the game was search. And I remember well, I met a startup, an entrepreneur who was very, very data savvy. And even though we wanted his products and we were ready to support him, he was very much saying, no, for me, strategically, building my data and building my catalog is so important. It will enable me to outpace my competitors. So he paused on the support he was offered from eBay, and he took 12 months to build his product catalog. And I was there to witness after the first 12 months, the scale of this business was exponential. And indeed, that company, Parts in Motion, outpaced all of their competitors, and they became the market leader in their chosen area of products. And I think what we're seeing now is a very similar stage. It's early on. Yeah. We are all experimenting and learning how AI works. So the brands that think in data, in systems rather than channels, have a real opportunity to grab market share in this early stage and win over competitors.
Yeah, no, I think there is a few different things already that you've talked about here. We'll come back to the marketplace and data element, and thank you for sharing this story, which is actually very, very inspiring. I want to come back a little bit more on the user part of it and those data points. One of the things that preparing this conversation strikes me is the other part of the McKinsey data that say that people check recommendation against an average of 2.4 other platforms. So the 2.4, what does it mean? It means that actually, when you have a recommendation, it's not only the first one that you looked at, probably look at the second one or even the third one, that's 2.4 on average before making a purchase. And I think this is quite interesting because that means that, and you Tilda have worked a little bit on consumer trust and how this is built. This is an indication that there is a bit of trust, but there is still a lot of try and error as well. And I think my question would be that, what do you read that here? And also, how do you take this moment? You talked about the moment, there is a moment here with a number of things that are shifting, a number of things that are uncertain, and this 2.4 data point shows it as well. What do you think? Mm-hmm.
Well, when we look at aggregated data, right, and first of all, as long as the sample size is big enough, which in a source like McKinsey, the methodology normally ensures that it is, then this is just an average. What it tells me is that consumers would use 2 to 3 or maybe more sources to make a decision. And we are in early stages, right? We are, as consumers, we're learning what the value of AI tools is. And at the moment, it's predominantly for research purposes. So if we think how consumers use AI, it would be to share a set of criteria and ask for top 3 or 3 to 5 options ranked by one of their top criteria. So taking the seasonal moment, if I'm looking for a last minute deal to go on holiday, I would want 3 to 5 destinations within a certain budget that would offer me family-friendly facilities, maybe hiking, maybe swimming, maybe a bit of both, and so on and so forth. So I am not yet trusting AI to go and make the choice for me, but I wanted to do the legwork, to do the research, and come back to me with 3 to 5 options. Now, am I going to check all of these 5 options? Am I going to go just for the first one? In many cases, we then, if we used Claude, if you started with Claude, which majority of consumers start with or use, I might go and check it on ChatGPT or Gemini and get a second opinion or a third opinion. So multi-platform is still very much the case, even within the AI channel. The good news is that for a brand that uses and builds its systems to be data-driven and legible for AI, then all of the AI platforms will be able to read them. So actually, you set it up once, and then multi-AI platform will be able to use it.
Yeah, and that maybe, well, so we will go actually to the marketplace parallel, because is it the same, was it the same on marketplaces or not? This is, a kind of another question we can discuss, but I think, and it's kind of interesting here where we are, because we know from our marketplaces experiences the power of data in terms of pushing your inventory in front of the right consumer, the right buyer in marketplace terminology, and how important it is to actually build a very consistent data catalog to be able to be visible. That was the rule of the game on eBay, on Amazon, on all of the other different marketplaces that have since bloomed, and it remained one of the very more important things to do. But I think I would like to come back also to you in terms of your research today, beyond the catalog data and this importance of item specific, especially your attributes. What are the other parallel and similarity with the marketplace model that you use at the moment to get this AI visibility?
Yes, I mean, just having data is not enough. It's what type of data is that, and that's where in my methodology I look at 5 distinct phases. AI visibility is just the first one, and the question it answers is, do these systems know that you exist, and what your purpose is, right? That is only the first step. The next one is around discovery, knowing that you exist. Can consumers find you? Can they understand what your products serve, what the use case is? And the third one, which I feel is very much shared with marketplaces, is around brand trust. Does anyone independent corroborate the claims? Is your brand consistently known for the value that it adds? And does it provide then the experience? That's where we start talking about conversion and service, and then reviews, or how do they drive retention and expansion once you've gotten the first purchase from a customer. So all of these elements are important. They bring a different facet and a different angle of a brand's digital presence. The great news is that they are all aspects of what customers need. And if a brand thinks from the point of view of customers, of consumers, and builds their proposition in this way, then it is amplified digitally. And the data accumulates to provide better visibility and recommendation, because we can see in the data that it's not just to be discovered, it's about being recommended as well. And I find this is a really close similarity with marketplaces, where we saw the same. I remember the challenge we had in our marketplace like eBay, that was very much seller generated. The first challenge was the lack of consistent data, because we saw that brands really wanted to be unique and really wanted to be differentiated. So I remember we were looking at red dresses, and there were something like 60 different definitions of the color red.
Yeah.
To describe a red dress. Now, it's unique, of course, a cherry red or a crimson red, and we could go and talk for hours about the shades of gray, of the shades of color. But that makes it very difficult to discover. Then you're positioning yourself for that unique use case that is really the end of the tail. What data, search as well as AI looks for is consistency rather than uniqueness. So how brands think about their product catalog in a way that can describe the product accurately with the customer needs in mind, with the customer search patterns in mind, is really important. And we saw with evidence that whereas a cherry red spotted color might be a very accurate description of a product, the top criteria for driving purchase for consumers were a commonly accepted color, size, and season, right? So having these commonly searched patterns in a consistent way rather than unique way boosts visibility and boosts recommendation.
And I heard from a few others in this space that actually LLMs reward consistency more than volume. So while search was discussions about volume, and especially even search on marketplaces. It was about filters, it was about attraction, it was about consistency, as you said, but it was also a lot about volume. The LLMs are different in the way that what they're parsing and what they're looking at, and so the consistency of actually talking about the cherry red, to take devil's advocate, actually they do reward that even more than the volume. And to your point, that's where smaller brands or brands that are have very, very consistent in what do they stand for, and putting that story together, but also having very consistent data into the way that they put their thing together. Like, the example of the seller that you were talking that has spent 12 months to put the catalog before starting selling. This is where this is rewarded by LLMs much more than in the previous world of filters and keywords and everything that goes with it. Also, because what is rewarded is how people are talking about you and how people are talking about this cherry red dress compared to any red dress, which I think is quite interesting.
Indeed, I agree with that, and that's why I talk about a system rather than a channel, because AI is a layer that picks up on what exists about a brand out there online, and they can pick on what is in different channels. Anything that is data driven or underpinned by data will be legible to AI, and so consistency is really, really important. I've had a number of heated discussions with brands who hold views that they would put their most keen pricing offline because they consider that is less severe, and keep a different price online.
Okay.
It's almost as if,
yeah,
why bother going online? if I could push it to extreme, because that undermines the online channel. It causes discrepancy. Customers see that, AI systems see that as well, and it teaches your customers or your prospective customers to not trust you online. So it actually destroys your reputation online, and it drives traffic towards more costly channels. It drives distrust, the feeling that if you haggle, if you push, maybe you get a better deal. So undermines your reputation as a brand, and undermines your online presence, and drives cost into your system, because customers will go to the call center and will try and haggle and extract further value. So consistency is really really important, and thinking about your online presence as a system, from your own website to that of influencers, to that of authority publications that might reference you, to your buying experience, and then to how you treat your prospects versus your loyal customers. It is a system that needs to be orchestrated and needs to be managed as a whole.
So I'd like now to take kind of bring another layer on this. Also, pardon me for bringing a bit more complexity. The international element. So I know from your experience, you actually have a ton of experience into pushing commerce internationally, and if there is one person that knows that it's not about translating description, it's you, Tilda. So the thing is that here we have a kind of, it feels to me kind of a double dip of complexity, because it's not only that we have to convince LLMs in one languages, but we also have to think about other languages and also about other contexts. So when people talk about the cherry red dress in a country, it might not exactly be the same thing that they think about in another part of the world, or the connotation about the cherry red might be different in one or the other. The way you will build about that. So what is your view at the moment about how to actually take an international angle on this AI visibility and commercial extension.
Oh, how long have we got for this topic? we could talk for months. This is a really, really interesting topic and so complex. Where to start from? I will constrain it to the topic of visibility online and AI. I would just say to your question that yes, thinking about expanding internationally, once a business reaches a certain size, it really makes sense to step into that new market and to step into the market properly in the respective language, with the respective communication, shipping and returns settings. Why? Because they're different. In the very early stages, if you're considering whether there is enough volume in a new market, you might take your domestic business website and turn on international shipping. You might monitor how many queries do you receive in a different language. But once you're satisfied that you will get sufficient scale, then it really makes sense and it pays off to be present in that new market. Mm-hmm. Now, you are really, you're very correct that when you think about translation, it's not only translating the words, but it's also translating the taxonomy. What I mean by that, gardening tools, for example, in the UK, they will be under gardening. They might be under gardening accessories even. Whereas in a different market, more urbanized perhaps, they might simply be under DIY. So understanding where this product category feeds in the taxonomy in major retailers is really helpful, because even if you didn't go to those marketplaces or those major retailers, just how you position it on your own website is worth considering, because that's what consumers are used to. That's how they search for that product in that market.
It's the context where they will look for it, and they may in a conversational AI discussion, they may bring this into or talk about brands that they know that would be different in the context, talking more about DIY in your example, DIY brands, and more about gardening or garden brands in the other context, which will bring then different perspective from the LLMs to and the visibility to look at.
Indeed. And another aspect to consider is safety or regulations or legal requirements. I was speaking with a brand recently who felt threatened by imports from China, from Temu. They come with very keen prices, and it is difficult to compete with that, of course. But when we looked into the brand and their products and the quality and what they offered, that was a brand with very strong heritage of craftsmanship and high quality, and they were selling children's first shoes. Okay. Something that no parent will compromise on. And when I looked at their offering, I mean, they were certified to the highest standard of European Union requirements. They had those certificates. They were just not translated and not put into the product catalog. Well, this is a way to compete with imports that may not be compliant, that may not even understand the European regulations, right? So understanding, getting into that detail and making sure that is legible by your AI system.
Yeah.
That is part of the structured data and catalog that will underpin your meta ads or your TikTok video of the product. It doesn't have to be stated on the creative asset, but the creative asset needs to be tagged with those key item specific key data. And similarly, when we talk about brand, I feel there is a lot of buzz in the different forums that we're going back to brand. But what does that mean? And really seeing how Sky, a very brand obsessed company, thinks and develop brand concepts was fascinating for me, and really it's an art. And I come from marketplaces where it's a science, and I feel now with search becoming much more human-centered, much more voice and description friendly, we are coming to a place where art and science need to join up, and we need both of them. And so what do I mean by that? I listened recently to a podcast talking about how the creator economy has influenced us.
Yes.
And the stat they brought to life was that personality beats corporate.
Yeah.
And I mean, that sounds like a populist slogan, right? And a catchphrase. But look at that. Branson has millions of followers. Richard Branson has millions of followers. Virgin Media has 450,000. So that's the illustration of personality beats corporate, and I feel this is a great time for small D2C brands, for startups, for family-owned brands. It is a chance to tell their story, and so I worked with a brand that had spent 15-20 years developing their innovation, their quality, their technology. They were producing eyewear to something really, really high-end, very competitively priced, very attractive, and very easy to wear. And so they were ready to expand internationally. But they weren't telling their story. Because they were used to selling B2B. They were used to selling to who buy very differently. So when it came to going direct to consumer, their whole brands needed to be brought to life.
How did you work with them on this? What are the type of channel? What are the forums actually where this story can be told?
Yes, indeed. Well, first of all, the question was which market to go to.
Okay.
Because there's so much difference between the buying habits of Northern Europe versus Southern Europe, and so on and so forth. The good news is that we have reached a level of penetration of smartphones and online payments that makes all of the European markets viable, most of the Asian markets viable, a lot of the American markets viable. So technologically, we've come to a point where more or less the global market is a level playing field. Then it's a matter of how does the brand want to build their image? Do they want to lead with premium technology, engineered products? in this case, we were discussing these topics, and what price points make sense. And then once we decided on which were the markets we wanted to enter first, I developed a 90-day go-to-market plan for them, looking at what would we want to test, what would we want to learn, and what would success look like. And interestingly, to us, success was not a number of a sales number that we had.
Great, yeah.
Success was for us to learn, how does AI work in different markets?
Yeah.
What is the successful positioning of the brand across 3 different markets? Can we fulfill? Can we sell and also deliver and also manage communications and returns?
Returns, yeah.
And then finally, what price point? So we were ready to experiment with pricing to pinpoint what was the sweet spot for a consumer price, because remember, this brand had been selling B2B until then. So
yes,
very, very, very different supply chain, very different marketing, and very different margin. So this was what success looked like for us after 90 days. The one thing that surprised me, and actually it was for me very illustrative of the change that we're seeing now, and why I'm saying that brand is coming to this art and science joining up. When I evaluated the online presence of this brand, they had good SEO performance. Their website was technically optimized well. So if I looked purely at the technical parameters, they were okay. But then online, they were nowhere to be seen. In AI, they were completely invisible. Why was that?
Yeah, interesting.
Because their online presence was designed for Google search, for SEO to rank, but it wasn't designed for a consumer query. If I went to AI and asked, hey, I want good quality, design optimized, and well-priced product that I can buy and have it done to prescription, they weren't being recommended. Why? Because all their search terms were not in a human query. They were just a list of words that will be picked up in a Google search, but not by a consumer. And so I think this is the exciting part that AI is bringing. We're moving to data-driven search that is very human, that is very human query-led. And so I think it will unlock brands that are data savvy and think with the customer in mind.
And you're totally right, and you know that it is part of my journey as well to talk about customer first. What you just described actually reminds me. I was yesterday in a show and tell session with a number of AI entrepreneurs and AI practitioners talking, and one of them actually was a CEO specialist turned LLM ads, and actually she was actually producing ads for the ChatGPT. So it's one step further. It's not visibility in AI; it's actually producing ads in ChatGPT. And it was fascinating because she built an agent or a few agents to actually does that very quickly. I was very impressed. It was the idea was just to continue having agents that actually look at what customers are saying about the product that they want you to put it. What are the words that they're using? What are the type of query that is coming up? But also just the word, like that, and using that to actually generate the ad in itself. So I think I'm taking this example because I think that what you're describing is totally that. We are back to this art and science of marketing. We are bringing back the stories and the intent, the very, very specific human intent that there is in purchasing. But then we also need to go at pace, using the new technology to actually put this together into something that makes sense for the brands. And it's difficult. I get that it's difficult, which is why, in a way, all of us here, advisors, we are here to help in that, helping those brands to try to experiment, as you did, Tilda. Not saying that always the number and the sales will be there from overnight, but actually having a place of learned experimentation and then putting that together. That was great. I want to ask Frans if these conversations bring you some thought or insight, or if there is a specific question that you want to ask.
No, not a specific question. There's a lot to process. It's a little bit out of my game in this respect. You talk a lot about consumers, and everybody's a consumers, but consumers. What I also kind of miss with AI, and not specifically in the discussion, but in general, is that they say, okay, AI can replace a lot. True, but not true. Creating the buying decision has a lot to do with what I call trust. My question is always, okay, how will AI, a tool or AI, whatever, create this trust? And the second thing is that, you know better than I, there's a lot of misinformation. That if you are going in this direction to use AI to be visible through AI, etc., to get your brand or company or whatever recommended by AI, how do you manage the misinformation? I mean, the simplest example is that if you have a shop and somebody writes down a bad recommendation on Google reviews or whatever, that makes more impact than 10 good ones. So the slightest misinformation, which is processed as information by AI, could hurt. And that makes, I think that's a very challenging thing if you go this direction to make sure that your filtering or selection or whatever is sufficient. And that are a little bit my concerns. If I translate all these kind of things to B2B, as being more in the sales part, there will be a human part remaining forever. So that's a little bit the struggle between the whole thing of AI, etc., etc. Will it change the job? Absolutely. So there's a little bit my translation into what the discussion is.
No, totally.
Thank you. So I'm hearing really 4 questions in what you said. The question of trust, the question of misinformation and what to do about it. How does what we've spoken about translate to B2B? And then finally, the human role in all of this. So let me take them in order. Trust is present wherever you go to buy, right? If you go to a store, the impression, the image of that store will be a signal for you of whether you trust them, whether you think they're reliable or they will be there if you need after sales service. It's the same online, and it's the same with AI. Now, the question with AI is, it's not a human being. So how does AI know whether a brand is trustworthy or not? And that's why reviews are taking center stage and are becoming even more important, because the way that AI evaluates if a brand is trustworthy is by looking at the reviews. So I would say so far, and in many companies, still, reviews is a matter of customer service. If there is a disgruntled customer, let's respond, let's close it off, let's find a resolution. That's the cost part of it. But now reviews are starting to play a role in the marketing part of it, of how are these reviews signaling a brand trust so that they can be recommended. Part of it is volume. So AI will look, is there sufficient volume of reviews that can be a representative readout? And part of it will be the quality. What are these reviews saying? But this is not new, right? We saw Amazon established this decades ago, and they were so very strict on what is the review rating and how does that impact the visibility of a product in search. So yeah, it's just being translated in the AI channel now. The second,
I would say it's amplified, Tilda. Sorry to interrupt, and I know you want to go through the 4 questions, but I think it's really on steroids compared, because we know in the eBay world the feedback was all, and we had, there is all of this, but here we need to think that instead of being the LLMs looked at more at what someone somewhere, a customer has said about your brand, that's what your corporate page is saying, or even your description is saying. So in reality, what you just said about this is not customer service, or it's never been, but possibly, but it's really about taking care of your customer, because everything that they say is actually being listened to by an AI. And so it changed the setting in a way that the customer satisfaction becomes even more important than before.
It goes back to consistency, right? If your average delivery time is 48 hours, don't claim that you deliver next day, because the discrepancy will cost you more than saying that delivery takes 48 hours and this is your offering. Yeah, agree. I wanted to talk about misinformation because I think Franz poses a very real question that we as a society need to figure out. And there is a lot of debate around regulation and governance and the role of governments in how they think about AI. I think this will balance itself, and there will be better governance coming soon, hopefully. At the moment,
definition of soon, huh?
Sorry?
Definition of soon.
Finishing off soon, so maybe not before the summer break, but hopefully soon. There is a real opportunity in the negative sense, so for bad actors to pour budget and on certain topics they do, and bring disinformation or propaganda or fraud. I mean, we can go very dark if we want.
Yeah.
That exists. That's why I believe it's really, really important for all of us to be data literate, to do our due diligence and fact check. That's where I feel this 2.4 number probably comes from, Beréngère. Consumers are checking 2 to 3 platforms before they make a decision, and even then, going to platforms is for research, and then most common practice is that they would go on the brand's website, they would go on recommending websites to understand. And I feel And I feel for consumer products, that's probably easier done. When it comes to service or information, that is more, there is more room for confusion. The good news is, and I've seen it in America, the good news is that when corrected, when a user goes back into the AI channel, correcting the facts, quoting the correct sources and data points, AI takes it on board. AI is 25% more likely to correct its database when it's fed with a sound data point. Sorry, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, in a certain point, I think that you're overestimating Mr. and Mrs. Average in the doing due diligence. If I look at social media, if they see something, it's true.
Yeah.
And they are not double checking, hey, listen, this is a kind of weird or this is real strange.
Yeah.
Let's check it. No, it's true. And there is something which the total education system needs to be aware of.
Agree.
Raising the generations, etc. And that's if you're a professional and as a consumer, you want something seriously and not a kind of little toy or whatever, or as a business you want something seriously, then you do automatically your due diligence. But if you go a little bit step back in mass products and brands which are selling quantities, I have some doubts, to be honest.
Let me clarify. I am advocating. I am not saying that that's what the average user does. I'm advocating for the average or more.
I understand that part. Yeah.
Sorry.
I
understand that part. Yes.
Yeah.
I could add as well in France, it's research that we, me and my co-author Heather have published a few weeks ago. There is a system emerging as well also. So there is the responsibility of the users to check, and with the problems that we can think about here. But I think there is also a responsibility of actors, meaning your brands first, the sellers in general, because they would be asked, when a seller on the marketplaces or even on their website have a problem with the misinformation, there is a return, there is a misunderstanding, there is a consequences. So there is a number of things emerging. One of the things also which I like with the LLM in general is that they, compared to social media where there is no accuracy, there is no accountability on truth. Totally. It's just completely savage. LLMs have actually an incentive to be useful. And so in a way, they have a little bit more regulation. We should not completely only, count on it, but they are incentivized to have a system from that. And they probably, in the situation like this, they actually try to converge in the middle. So if you ask, as Tilda said, well, what could be a high quality eyewear brand that I can work on? They have an incentive to actually come with something that a majority of users will say is high quality. So how do they build that? That's the whole discussion, and we need to monitor it, look at it, understand it. But there is a little bit of something that is actually a kind of a regulation here. And then where there is another emerging factor is that I'm thinking of a company called Provenance, which I've met a few times, and they are very interesting because they kind of built a kind of a third-party accredited database of claims for product. So think about B Corp, or think about being, Rainforest Alliance labeled, or think this kind of things. They put this into a system that is outside of the catalog of the brand, which can be accessed. Actually, Ocado, it works for Ocado. There is a part of the Ocado website that completely work with them on this. And then here, the LLMs knows about that as well. And the LLMs knows that in this case, it's third-party validated. So this kind of actors, I'm expecting that they will see a little bit of tailwinds to be able to actually kind of have this trust system emerging, to be sure that when we use AI to recommend an item, it is actually what we want it to be in this case and in that. But to come back to your question, Franz, I think what is clear here is that the consequences of a misleading information or the consequences of a bad data in your catalog saying that you are, I don't know, USB-C when you are USB-B, for example, actually have higher consequences in the world of LLMs. Because then, as you know, there is it's a discrepancy, an inconsistency, and that will be picked up as something that doesn't work at all.
Yeah. Well, it needs development, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And it will be. I mean, it will happen anyway. Yeah, I'm just trying to process. Okay, where are we heading, and how can we work with that kind of systems, etc.
And you said that you come from the B2B side, and particularly complex big sales. How do you see AI manifest itself, and is it helpful or is it creating another line of obstacles for your sales pipeline?
It creates a challenge for B2B sales organizations if they do not recognize the development of the use of AI. The buying process is changing rapidly, and I say I lost my English word. Substantially. Why? In the old days, really in the old days, there was a sales guy running with a catalog on paper, going from door to door. What do you have? I have this. Now, if you look at the sales process, the first point of human contact is much later in the process than in the past, and any past. So you have to be prepared for that. If I talk to sales teams, my question is sometimes in a way, are you selling or are you helping a customer to buy? Which is a huge difference. If they are in a certain type of salespeople, I say, just stop selling. Forget about it. The whole selling thing. And there, if you do not recognize these changes, and AI is a help, because AI is moving data and information in a very quick and rapid way. So you have to accelerate in this. And there are the big changes / challenges. If you don't adapt, you're going to die.
Yeah, indeed. And so I feel in a way the B2B sector is more prepared for the change, if I think of it, because sales process in B2B is a lot more logical and rational, and I feel in the last, I don't know, at least as long as I've been involved in sales, it has been very process driven and very operational. So now possibly it's about extracting that expertise and turning it into a digital presence. So what I mean by that, I remember I was drilling into my teams around the MEDDIC process, which I'm in favor of. So around discovery, when you go on a first meeting with a prospective client, what will you ask them? What do you need to discover about them? What is their urgency? What is their budgeting process? When in the year does it happen? Who holds the budget? Who wants this? Whose problem are we solving? What are the business objectives that this feeds into? we had a list of questions, a whole inventory. So now the question is, when the prospective buyer is researching online or asking AI, how does AI read this data about you so that it can evaluate? And that's, I guess what we're facing in some cases is the human barrier, possibly the fear of, this is my expertise, this is why I am good. If I give it away, am I going to become obsolete? And it's, in many cases, that's what is stopping the leverage of AI in a B2B channel.
Yeah, but then in my experience in the past, there's also a point of culture.
Yeah.
I have had experience with sales processes of 2 years plus. And my largest DMU was 24 people. And there were not everybody was deciding. Ultimately, there was one person deciding, but he was not signing off before the rest signed off.
Yeah.
And that's a kind of security that they cannot be blamed, cannot be whatever. That's what I call a little bit the hidden agendas. And you're absolutely right in the discovery about what you said about discovery, because in short about sales, I said the two kind of verbs most important in sales is listening and asking questions. That's not a verb, but close enough.
Curiosity.
And, and how you ask the questions depends on where you are, regional, geographically, cultural, etc. Because I have seen people in the United States doing a kind of discovery call, face to face. They were done in 15 minutes. Yeah, that's fine.
Not in Europe. Never.
Never. Yeah? 4 visits. Yeah, I mean.
Indeed. And I mean, you're pointing at something really important, I feel, and that's both the cultural difference, the business culture, but also the legal framework that is conditioning that legal culture, right? Whereas in America, it's very easy to start doing business, and it's also very easy to stop doing business. So the check there is probably a lot more around speed and a lot more around commercials in the moment. Whereas in Europe, still, the relationship is really important, because stopping doing business is costly, is difficult, and will have repercussions for both parties. So therefore, a certain level of trust and relationship and reliability needs to be built before a business starts, because once it starts, it continues for longer or for more parts of the business. I feel what the question that B2B businesses need to figure out with AI is, how do we ensure that AI doesn't disqualify us? Because I feel in a B2B deal, once you're talking about a purchase above a certain amount, and I think that threshold is still quite low, it's not going to be a purchase on the back of AI. It's not going to be an online order. It's going to be a face-to-face meeting. But who do you meet with?
Yep.
And that's where AI could disqualify you by making you invisible. And then that's the part that we need to overcome. How do I make sure that AI recommends me as one of the top 3 to meet?
I will ask AI.
Yeah, why not? I do that a lot. And you know what? Once I ask Claude and see what they tell me, I then go and
Yeah.
ask ChatGPT whether they agree with Claude, and more often than not, they don't.
No.
I let them figure it out for a few
Yeah.
rounds before I make my decision.
Actually, Tilda, that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you before we close. It's about tools for AI visibility. There are tons of them. There are some that are more marketing driven, some that are more basic. There is a lot of things also going up into different parts of the world. We're also waiting for what Google is doing, in ChatGPT in itself and all of this. So what's your and I will not ask you for recommending any tools now, but what is your strategy to go through the different these different pictures and tools?
A sigh of relief that you're not gonna ask me to name tools, because honestly, I couldn't. I am a curious person. I like to investigate and to experiment. And given the stage of maturity of this channel, I think it's a very healthy attitude to check, to verify, to try different tools and figure out which works at this point in time. I also have a practice that I do a weekly recap, and if I have experienced any discrepancies or bugs or issues, I flag this and I ask the AI tool to investigate itself and figure out what went wrong and what learnings can be taken. I also have I run a monthly exercise across the major assistants. I log in which brands appear, the differences, is it all the same, and then I investigate. I could ask why Claude recommended this brand, why haven't ChatGPT recommended it, what was missing, and vice versa. And the one thing that I can say with certainty is that most of this is still manual.
Yeah.
Because we're learning, because we are figuring this out and developing the algorithm that works. And I would go even further. Anyone that is telling you otherwise is selling something. And no doubt there is going to be a whole business segment that will emerge around integrators and reconciliators and so on and so forth. But this is part and parcel of being part of an early stage.
Yeah, you're right.
And being able to grab that white space and adopt it. I think the measurement will mature with time. It will become a lot more structured and consistent and maybe unified across different channels. But the work of being worth recommending won't change.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Tilda, for all the insight, and including this last question, which was a little bit tricky. I know from that. Just to finish, where can people find you and be in contact with you for the audit, for your work on the advisory, and also to follow up from this conversation?
Right, that's an excellent question. Thank you. I will be on the coast in north of Wales during August. I'm not suggesting that anyone comes that way, but if you happen to be, yes, please connect. No, joking aside, starting from September, I have a new offering that comes on the market, which is around annual planning. What are the right metrics to use to ensure your business is visible and growing digitally? And how do you prepare for a kickoff of a strong 2027? I know for a lot of brands, and especially in the consumer world and the B2B world, Q4 is a critical quarter there's a lot of business to be pressing and to
Always.
be closing, selling, and so on. So I'm here to partner with you and to help while you are ensuring you close a very strong quarter. I am offering to help you plan the next year. So you start early January with you hit the road running with a strong roadmap and an annual plan. Please connect on LinkedIn. You can find me either via my own profile or via the White Leap page.
Yeah. Okay.
It's done.
Forward to hearing from you.
Okay, it's done.
It's done.
Yeah. Okay, no, it's great. And for people watching us, Tilda on LinkedIn, Tilda Molho, as you can see written out here, you can reach out as part of Evolved or not. This is part of the rule of the expert sessions. So thank you very much, Tilda. Thank you very much, Franz, for joining us and joining as well into the conversation. Lots of things to take on. I think two really things that stand out for me, Tilda, is the art versus science. I know there will be a lot to say about this, but I know it will be something definitely for 2027 that will bring from that, and as well as actually what you said about experimenting and being able to jump with those brands to bring it up. So lots to come on this, but as part of what we do at Evolved is really about making those conversations happen and preparing for what's next. So thank you very much again, and thank you for the and we'll be back soon for another expert session.
Okay.
Thank you, Beréngère.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.